This Thrive Loud episode is brought to you by Hinge Consulting. Success on Amazon hinges on well-executed strategies. Contact Hinge Consulting to learn about total Amazon channel management and to see if your business has what it takes to grow over 300% over the next 12 months. That's Hinge Consulting at hingeconsulting.co.
The entire time I knew him, he only ever had one call: to be the #1 business podcast in the universe. If he can get all favorite movies of everyone in the world, he can do it with the snap of his fingers. Just like that.
Tell me his name again.
Lou Diamond. We've made top 5 once and we'll do it again, but better. He's got a plan and the end is near. When he's done, Thrive Loud will be the #1 business podcast that ever existed, as it should be. I know they'll remember you.
My name is Lou Diamond. Thrive Loud.
Get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, I bring you a man who has raised over $2 billion in capital for entrepreneurs. He is the director of capital markets at an investment bank, Intersection Capital, and he is the #1 best-selling business author of Pitch Anything, an innovative method for presenting, persuading, and winning the deal. He rides a Ducati, has 17 fountain pens, most of them leak. Thrive Loud listeners, Oren Klaff. Oren, how are you today?
Lou, I am doing great with that introduction. Wow, I'm impressed by myself. I like this.
You should be. This is pretty cool. You've obviously had a phenomenal career as an entrepreneur, helping to raise capital, and I looked into you a little bit, checked out this book that you had, and I am fascinated to get on 2 paths here. One, hear a little bit of your story on how you recognize that neuroeconomics was where things were at, and then a little bit of your own personal journey on how you've managed to grow and be as successful as you have. So our Thrive Loud listeners, we have tons of entrepreneurs, people in their own companies, startups. We have a lot of financiers as well. We'd love to hear all of this about this Pitch Anything too. So I'm going to hand the baton over to you. And why don't you start us on the journey, and I will interject accordingly. That sound good?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one thing that confuses me is over time, I look, Pitch Anything has been the #1 sales book on Amazon for many, many years. It's in 2 dialects of Chinese. It's in Russian. It's in French. It's Italian. It's in 17 different languages, all about sales, sales, sales. But I really don't know that much about sales. What I really understand is finance and how money works. And so my introduction to this world was through the need to go out and raise capital and raise a lot of capital quickly for deals. And so I had a very industrious partner, and he would go up and he would lock up a company or a real estate asset or something, and he'd put up $1 million of our money. He'd go raise a couple $1 million of debt, say $15, $20 million of debt, and then I would have to go out and find $5, $6, $7 million of equity. And how do you find $5 million of equity in 30 days, in 45 days, from a dead cold stop for something you don't know that much about? And that was the birth of the tools in Pitch Anything. When you need to close deals, going from a cold start, and it's really, you're not selling a product, you're not selling a value proposition, but you're raising capital. What's the process for doing that? And that's how I got into the world of Pitch Anything.
So let's get into the nooks and crannies here. Tell us, in having that need to get something done in a very short period of time, what was your game plan, your tactics, and how did this methodology, for lack of a better word, come to be?
So my initial methodology was to try and fail and winging it, doing the obvious stuff. And so the first thing we do as humans when we get another person on the phone who might be interested in something we have is we seek rapport, right? To find that relatedness. Oh, you like playing, you like swimming, you like skiing, you like snowboarding, you vacation in Mexico, you like skydiving, you like rock climbing, you like mountain biking, your sister went to Northwestern University, you grew up in Chicago, whatever it is, that seeking out rapport so they like us, right? What I really learned is that is a enormous waste of time and accomplishes really nothing but spending minutes and minutes and minutes that otherwise you could spend pitching your deal. And I found the best guys, you guys who really know what they're doing, they spend 30 seconds, a minute, kind of saying hello, comparing a couple notes, and then they get into the topic at hand because time is short. And as you said, when we started out, the span of human attention is very limited. At most, it's 20 minutes. And that's for a TED Talk, right? Where it's like a prepared subject that is interesting. I climbed up Mount Kilimanjaro and I lost my arm at the top, but I made it back to the bottom. That guy can't hold your attention for 20 minutes. How are you talking about, a SaaS software company that has a dating app for grandmas going to hold somebody's attention for 20 minutes, right? With that story. So, it turns out rapport is really about attention-seeking behavior. That's your neediness. It's not actually getting relatedness. It's not actually creating a safe space. It's not actually moving the deal forward. And so once I learned that the investment of time and energy and relationship to create this sort of a rapport was really neediness and attention-seeking behavior, and I changed that and I would move straight into the pitch, I got a sense that, wow, there are all these undercurrents and controlling frameworks in deals that I wasn't aware of. And that if you could fix them one after the next and string the fixes together, you could actually have an incredible presentation that compelling, brief, concise, in the order that buyers and investors want to hear about what you have and get through it in a way that they want what it is that you have and you're selling. So fix after fix after fix after fix of the classic problems in deals led me to really being effective in raising this money, $5 million in 30 days, $8 million in 45 days, $12 million in 60 days, over and over again. So that's sort of the backstory of how I got into the tools, methods, techniques of Pitch Anything.
So I want to ask a question about the methodology, and then I want to ask a personal question on this. So with every successful way of communicating, and whether you're speaking on a stage as I do, or helping to connect with people, or like yourself trying to get people to fork over money so they can invest in something, you identify the problem that comes out and how you're the solution, whether it's the individual that's on the other end or it's the solution that's out there. And this is something that has been bugging the technology world all over the place. And this is the following question. Are you investing in the idea, the solution, or the person? So you know this when you're trying to get money and you're trying to give a solution and trying to get people to invest in something. Are they investing in you or the idea?
Yeah. So in my experience, you're the messenger that's conveying the story. They aren't they should like you. You should be believable. You shouldn't raise red flags, but it's about the ideas. It's not you. Unless you're raising $50,000 from somebody to start, a potentially billion-dollar company, then they go, look, I think you're industrious. I think you're a good guy, smart kid. Here's $50,000. See what you can do. But if you're raising $10 million, they will say it's about people and teams win. But ultimately, if you look at what investors and buyers really buy, it's ideas, products, ROI, IRR, return, and results. And you have to be a fit for that, but they're buying ideas.
Gotcha. As from the second half of this question, which is about you, what gets you jacked the most in these situations? Is it the win or the actual pitch itself? And I know this sounds really funny, but I've actually heard people that just love to be on the floor there and connecting with that audience, with that investor. But for other people, it's the actual, yes, I want to invest in what you've got. I want to fork over the money. What gets you jacked the most?
So For me, I mean, it's a little bit different. I've built 254 pitches that have gone to market. So I have thousands of yeses, right? So in an individual deal, you might have 6 or 7 investors, you might have 25 buyers or whatever it is, so I built hundreds of pitches that have gone to market. And the yes to me, is really a fait accompli. Like if I build the pitch to our standard, the big idea, what's happening in the world, how things are changing, the problem, who else does this, what our solution is, how our solution works, the value proposition, the upside, the downside protection, the key assumptions, the ROI, the team, and next steps, right? If I do all of that correctly inside a compelling narrative, then it's going to work. Right. And so to me, the excitement is taking that to market, giving that to 10, 15, 20, 100 people and watching the results roll in. The yeses are a fait accompli. They happen when you have a great pitch. Capital flows to deals. You don't go out and with no market, no deal, create an investment or sell a product. Capital flows to good products. It flows to good deals. And to your point, in some cases, you've taken 2 companies public, you're doing your third company, you've generated, $400 million for investors or whatever it is. In those cases, absolutely, the money goes to you, but that's few and far between. Capital flows to deals. Money goes to great products and services. So how you communicate that, if you do it well, will get you the W's all day long.
I like it. We're here with Oren Klaff, who is full of energy, lots of pens, which we'll get to in a little bit, and a great way of thinking about how you can pitch and make sure that you're successful in so doing it. I wanted to ask the fun question, which was, what was the last pitch that you did when you were sort of winging it, doing yourself before you realized that there was something behind, like you needed to change the way that you were doing things? Tell us about that last failure that said, that's it, I got to flip the switch here and get to this new way of doing things.
Let me just think of my couple hundred failures here and pick out a guy. No. So I put together a pitch. It was good. There were jokes. There was humor. You should laugh. You would cry. It was for an asset. I spent a long time, a couple weeks. I practiced it. It was going to be over the phone to a couple hundred analysts. I worked it with friends, with my colleagues. I really knew every word of it. I practiced. It was like a mini performance. The jokes, whenever I told the joke, people would laugh at it. Whenever I got to a big reveal about the quality of the investment, the people I gave it to would ooh and ah. I felt like it was a real. So I get on the phone, and you hear all this rumbling and everything, and the moderator goes, "Now I'm just going to mute everyone." And so I started giving the presentation into dead air, and I absolutely, completely was unprepared for no feedback, no rapport, no validation, right? So my attention-seeking need, my neediness, the need for feedback restricted me from being able to get past the first couple sentences, because I let in with this sort of chuckling joke, dead air, move into it. Don't hear a sound. And that was one of my huge failures. I was completely unprepared for not getting feedback. And that, again, led me to understand how needy we are for attention, for feedback. And it causes us to supplicate and demonstrate that our want for you to invest, for you to buy, and neediness, of course, kills deals. So that was one of the most difficult things that I ever encountered.
Oren, going back a little bit here, I know you're based in Southern California right now. Give me some of the early stage journeys that led you into the world of investment banking. Was that always the field that you were in? Were you in something before that?
Oh, no. I mean, it's just a quick 30-second story. I was in a software company. We really needed money, and I was the guy who was in charge of finance, and I went to the market, and it was quite a while ago. There wasn't as many venture capitalists and sources for capital as there are today. I just didn't know how to explain the company, how to pitch it, how to put the finances, how to put the accounting in the lingua franca of finance. And that created a huge hole in my heart. And I spent the next 10 years learning the lingua franca of finance. And whatever business you're in, you have to learn the language. See, buyers want to buy how they want to buy, not sellers how sellers want to sell. And so if you think about it, the perfect example of that is accounting and finance. I run into companies all the time. I go, let me see your financials. And they send me accounting. I go, what is this? This is accounting, right? Where's the financials? Where's the pro forma, right? What does Q3 look like 3 years from now? What are the underlying assumptions? What are the metrics? They go, oh, no, we sent you our financials. No, that's accounting. So accounting is not the language of finance. And so in that failure, the inability to raise money for that company, I desperately wanted to learn how to convert information into the language of the buyer. In that case, they were investors.
Yeah, I used to always say, and I say this to a lot of the people that I help lead and develop and coach. I love this. You're not actually helping them to sell. You're helping your client and your targets to buy. At the end of the day, that's what you're really on. We love buying. We actually love it. It's in our DNA to actually want to buy things. We like to shop.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, we're helping a company go public now, right? And they came in with their 39, 45-page presentation, and they hired us to really, hired me to refine and build the pitch to be appealing to the market of investors. And really, most of what I do is take stuff out. Right. And so I make really solid choices, and that's what takes 2 days. I want this out. No, we got to have that. No, you don't. Right. Buyers don't want that. But that's so important to us. Exactly. It's important to you. It's not important to me or the buyer. So clawing stuff out of their presentation is one of the most important things we did. So we just boil it down to the salient terms. Like, if you're listening to this, if it's not the big idea, what's changing, the problem, who else does it, the solution, how the solution works, what it is, the key assumptions, ROI, value proposition, and team. If it's not one of those subjects, throw it out. It's not needed.
I love it. I think the true thing, the best presentation I'd ever seen, Oren, it was one slide that answered all three things that you just ran through there. What's the problem? How we'll solve it? Here's the math. And that was literally it on one piece of paper. And I remembered saying, oh my God, these guys are going to raise a shitload of money because they got it down. They've got the bullshit off the table and all the wasted stuff in those pretty slides.
So I think that's a good example, right? But I want to talk about sort of what I would call like an unlock code, all right? So what you just said, you go to Sequoia, they want to know 8 things. What's your mission? How are you going to change the world? What have you done before? What are your metrics? How are you measuring success? What is your technology based on? What milestones have been accomplished? How is traffic growing month over month? And what's your pro forma look like? And maybe a little bit of team, right? So they just want to know those couple of things. You go, great. You tell them that. Okay. So Sequoia gives you $3 million. Great. Check. Got some money. Now, you're an AI company. And so you want some money from the National Institute of Science. They have a grant open. You go there and you go, this is our mission. Right? This is how we plan to change the world. Here's what's changing. And they go, what are you talking about? I don't care about any of that. Right? I don't know what fundamental science you're going to do. So, So you change your pitch, and you make it all about the science and the algorithms and the technologists and the patents and the PhDs that you have. That's the pitch they want. Okay. National Institute of Science gives you $1.5 million. You go, great. Now we got a science grant. We've got some capital from Sequoia. We got a company. Let's go. We need an office. You go to Bank of America to get a lease, right? So get something on your balance sheet, and you give either of those pitches to Bank of America, and they go, "What the hell are you talking about? We don't understand any of this. Mission, science, patents. Just show us the balance sheet. How much cash have you got, today, and what does the income statement look like?" So the pitch. In the case that you used, the one pager might be right for early stage seed investor just wants to know those couple things. But what is the information that is required for that buyer to go, aha, I'm getting the information I need in the order that I want it. So for example, people say, hey, what do you do when people interrupt one of your presentations and pitches? And I go, I'm not sure. And I sort of confuse my mind a little bit. Why don't I know what I do when people interrupt me? I go, I know why. I've been interrupted in like 5 years, right? Because I know for the market that I'm in, what do buyers want, in how much detail, and in what order. And if you give it to them they put their phones down, they don't talk amongst themselves, they're not looking at their computers. They're actually paying attention to the novel, interesting, unique, intriguing things that you're giving them because that's the order their mind wants it in physically.
No, I like it. It's combining that whole sense of the math and the mind together. And I realize you've got a high level of energy, a lot of focus, and you need a lot of that to instill a lot of confidence in a lot of the things you do and have been doing. I love to ask the guests that are on the show, Oren, when you have trouble thriving, who or what do you turn to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Yeah. So 2 mile run, baby. If you go on a 2 mile run, you will find that releases, I don't know the neuroscience under it because I know the neuroscience of how cognitive and how people think and how they relate to money. But getting back on track, a 2 mile run as aggressive as you can will sort of, at least for me, release everything. All these new ideas flush in, back on track.
Yeah, no, it's true. Everybody's got their. I've seen it. I like that 2 mile bit. One, mostly because anything past that, I hear these guys that run marathons, half marathons, and I'm looking at them and go, yeah, not going to happen in my legs or my knees. But 2 miles sounds doable.
This is what I told my training partner yesterday. I ran half of a 5K yesterday.
Okay, 2.5.
That's 2.5K. That's like 1.8 miles, 1.6 miles. Right?
Okay, right there. Right.
Half of a 5K. Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds like a good bit to do that. Hey, let's do this. And I want to ask this question because what's the next thing? You've got a great book out. You've got a great story. You're helping all these companies, tons of them, deals. What are you looking forward to this year, a little bit down the road? You do seem like someone that has a goal-oriented way of thinking.
Oh, man. Well, I have a 4-year-old now. And
good.
That has reduced.
He's running you around 2 miles in the house alone. So
I have a 4-year-old and he plays hockey, and that has reduced a lot of my goals to, I used to want to be a professional motorcycle racer, or at least a good amateur motorcycle racer and an adventure hiker and, travel the world and a lot of things. But now I just want to be a good dad. But I can tell you this, I have a new book coming out that is called something. I don't know.
We'll put it in the show notes when it comes out.
Yeah. The book is called. Did you catch up? Yeah.
We got it. Yes.
And the book.
Working on title.
But the book is amazing. So it's all the things I learned from having known Pitch Anything, having the book out, and then having helped hundreds of companies deal with those problems in the real world. And then, so where do you take influence, power, persuasion next? That's all in the new book.
I like it. Give us Oren, give us all the plugs here for where we could find the book, you learn about your business, obviously Intersection Capital, any of that stuff. Just it's always good. We'll put it in the notes, but when it comes from you, people actually listen and they move to it.
Sure. Yeah. No. If you're Chinese, you can find the book in China. If you're Italian, you can find the book in Italy. If you're Romanian, you can find the book in Romania. But probably for Westerners, Amazon.com is easy. No. Listen. You go to pitchanything.com. Go to pitchanything.com. Put your name in there. Unfortunately, it's still set up when I was new, and I gave away so much stuff, and we haven't taken the funnel or the autoresponder or whatever. So today, and I don't know how long it could last, if you put your name in at pitchanything.com, we flood you with these amazing tools, techniques, scripts, and examples of stuff for how to pitch in, any consulting, accounting, SaaS software, web, internet, computer, government services. Just about anything. So there's so many examples there of how to do it right. Pitchanything.com. That's where I would send people.
Perfect. So we're going to go to two different parts here for the signature Thrive Loud question, which I'm very interested to get into this conversation with. What is your all-time favorite movie?
Oh man. So I have to go with Patton.
You went with Patton. Oh, you did a flip on me here.
I flipped on you.
Response.
Yes, but
okay.
Can't your favorites change? So I've been watching Patton lately, and it just has everything in it: tanks, mud, shooting, girls, killing, but in the old school way that it was not. It was dramatized. It's not hyper technical. The Matrix meets 24. That is when people really didn't have. What I love about it is people didn't have communication the way we have now. We didn't have smartphone, text, pick up a phone, satellite, email, internet. The things they said meant something, at the time they said it, and then everybody took action on that. That's what I love about Patton.
It's true. He does. War is a brutal thing, and I think a lot of times people don't realize, like even in asking you like the question of whether you like the actual pitch or getting the result of the win, Patton lived in the moment. I mean, we're talking one of the most brutal scenes in the entire world, watching all those bodies dead at war, which is traumatic and everything. But this is a man who recognizes at the moment how important this was for his country, for his purpose, for his cause. And I always found that to be like one heck of a leader to distance himself from the emotion and put it into got to get the job done and do it. And I always got inspired by that. Yeah.
And one thing I love about Patton that's not evident in the movie, but you got to read the biography and the autobiographical stuff and the poems he wrote and everything. America, after the First World War, had no investment in armored vehicles. Literally, we believed that horses were going to win every war to come, and we invested in horses. And Patton believed in mechanized armor, and he used his own money and his family's money and his friends' money when the government would not put any money into mechanized armor to bring about an armored division. And so he had a vision and a passion and a mission that was technical. Not a lot of people know that, above anybody else. And he used his own money because the government wouldn't fund the right thing.
Cool.
So I love that about him. Although he was an anti-Semite, so fuck him. But anyway.
Pretty cool stuff. So the other part I want to get to is here. You have a Ducati. You love riding motorcycles, aside from the 4-year-old taking you off the road because it happens that way. Talk to me about the passion that you have for it and how you got into riding bikes.
Yeah, I mean, how do people love the violin or, playing guitar or love astronomy? Those are all weird things that I have, no interest in, or become biologists and dissect frogs. I never want to see a dead frog ever, but I love motorcycles since I was a little kid. And so I've got 20 motorcycles, a whole range of Ducatis. We were just in Italy. We're at the Lamborghini factory, taking the tour there. That was amazing. We have 10 cars, 20 motorcycles. We love that stuff. It's just, there's something about motors and so they have these electric cars now. I'm like, it's an appliance, with wheels. Like there's something about motor, gas, oil and speed and the noise and the vibration and a motorcycle trip, where you just create these experiences. So if you aren't out riding motorcycles, that's okay. You don't have to. It's super dangerous. It can kill you. But I can tell you sort of the most fun you can have with your clothes on.
There you go, man. I think that's how you bring a show to an end here, man. This was so much fun. Oren Klaff, thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud. Great stuff. Much success with Pitch Anything and whatever the new book is coming out. I have a feeling if you're not riding around on motorcycles, we might be seeing a lot more of you in the future. It sounds like that. You're going to get out there and spread the word, I'm sure.
You will, unless I have a massive wipeout for sure.
Well, then stay safe, man. And wear a helmet. Anyway, thanks for coming on to Thrive Loud, Oren.
All right, I appreciate it.
And to all the Thrive Loud listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.